Hey, and welcome to Wealth Wisdom Financial. I am so excited for our guest today, Stacey St. John. Just to give you a little bit of a preview of what we're going to talk about, she took her global consulting firm income. You can imagine what that might be, and she replaced it with her own short term rental business within yes, you heard that right, 2 years. She's going to share the secrets of how you could do the same. So, Stacey St. John is a real estate investor, a success mentor, and founder of the Short Term Rental Society. Love that name of the society. She started working at, or one of her places of work was a global consulting firm, and from there she fell into real estate, really by accident. I want to hear that story. And it ended up changing her life forever from that first property purchase ongoing. We met her through a real estate investor association here in Cincinnati, one of the best. Look up RIA of Greater Cincinnati, amazing group of people. And Stacy's one of my fellow awesome people there. And I'm really excited to bring her here to us. So, Stacy, give us the behind the scenes of the bio. Where you at? What makes you really passionate about what you're, doing now?
Oh gosh. Well, thank you so much, first of all, for having me on. It's such a pleasure for me to be here. And, it's oftentimes I'm giving podcast interviews to folks across the country, and we're literally a couple of miles away from each other. So, Amanda, again, I think it's fabulous. So, thank you for having me. I am located in Cincinnati, Ohio, as you mentioned. And um, as also, as you mentioned, I kind of fell into this real estate investing world by accident. And of course, I'll share with you the behind the scenes as to what that really looked like. But one of the reasons I feel like I'm passionate about what I do today is because I have the opportunity to help other people achieve their dreams. And of course, I'm still actively investing in real estate and it's a big part of my life. But at the same time, I think one of the most rewarding things is helping other people along their journeys and, seeing their aha moments and seeing them succeed. And there's no better feeling in my book.
Mm. Yeah. Very, feminine of you to be looking out for other people's interest and wanting you succeed when they succeed, and I love that energy that you bring to what you're doing. I got the really awesome opportunity to be part of your short-term rental virtual summit last month. We're recording this in February. It was in January of 2023. It was amazing, the group of people that you brought together, the energy that was in that virtual room. You can really tell that you're passionate about this. Take us back to that first purchase. How
Oh,
did you
goodness.
accidentally fall into it?
Yes. So this is quite a story. So I'll give you the short version. We had purchased a condo for our son to live in Orlando, Florida. So he had decided he was going to go to college down in Orlando, and they didn't happen to offer student housing. And my husband said to me, "Hey, gosh, the apartments around the college are like $1,000 a month. What if we just actually purchase something? Because we'll probably spend around the same amount of money from a payment standpoint, but heck, we would have an investment on our hands and something that can pay us back in the future." And I was like, that sounds like a fabulous idea. So that's exactly what we did. We purchased a condo. And a couple of weeks after we closed, my son's plans changed and he decided to go to the online version of their college program. And so my husband and I, after a few choice words, possibly, decided very quickly, hey, we better get a property manager and get this puppy rented out. Um, but I tell you, after we did that and after a few months rolled by, we kind of looked at each other and we're like, hey, like, we're actually making money at this. Why aren't we doing this more? And so we spent the next several years actually purchasing long term rentals. And when COVID hit, we uh, took a second look at those long term rentals with eviction moratoriums popping up. I, in the meantime, had gotten my real estate license. We were doing flips. And we decided to pivot into short term rentals because of the fact that we felt like it was a little bit of a better safety net for us. Meaning, in order for folks to be able to stay in our properties, they had to pay upfront,
Mhm.
right? And so that's how I entered into the world of short term rentals. And from there, it was like, wow, I found my people. This is such an amazing industry. I absolutely love, love, love it. And so it has become, again, my whole world.
Yeah. And I can imagine Orlando, really great place to start, and, the long-term stuff can be a slog, and I love that you thought about it to make financial sense, right? Getting paid up front, having those dollars in the bank, not having to worry about are they gonna pay later and work through the court system for evictions and stuff. But also, maybe more importantly, you found what brought you joy,
Yeah.
and it also made sense financially, and you kind of balanced both of those, or you made sure both of those were included, and I love that. So many people focus on one or the other, and it doesn't end up working for them, right? We're walking down the street, we need both feet. If you're just hopping on 1 feet, you're not 1 foot, you're not gonna make it very far, and so
Yeah.
I love that you put both of those feet together, the financial sense and the passion, the joy from it.
Yeah. I think, to your point, so many people maybe are potentially looking for a shift in career or for financial freedom or for time freedom. And oftentimes we're chasing these dreams of ours, but we don't really sit down and think about, okay, if I've got my dreams out on paper, how can I literally reverse engineer making them come to life? And so I think have giving yourself permission to dream big and then go bigger. But I think the second step to that is actually mapping out an action plan to make that happen and make sure your life is a part of that plan, meaning we don't wanna be bogged down working 24/7 or being stressed out all the time. Heck, we could make all the money in the world, but if we're miserable in our lives, what's the point?
Mhm.
Right? So, I think that joy piece is a huge part for me at least.
Yeah. And I know part of your story is how many numbers of hours that you were working in a week to make this short-term rental empire get started and replace that corporate income in 2 years. You mind telling folks how much you did and how you made that work?
Yeah, sure. So when I was working in the corporate world, I had a very busy job. And I was responsible for a lot of things. And so when I first started down the path of investing in short-term rentals, it wasn't really till I started managing my own rentals that I realized, whoa, I really need to build this business with strategy so that I can self manage my own portfolio, but be able to do it with very little effort and time on my part because candidly, I didn't have a lot of time. And so I'm a very I'm very much a morning person, shall I say. So oftentimes I would, before I was in the world of short term rentals, I would get up and I would actually work in the morning before I technically had to go to work because, again, had a lot of stuff to do. And so I shifted that early morning work into building my short term rental business with the right infrastructure and systems and processes in place. So between the hours of 4 a.m. and 7 a.m., I would work on building out my short term rental business. Then I would get ready for my day and obviously start my quote regular W-2 job. And by what I call front loading that effort early on, where I spent, I think I calculated more than 900 hours, really, really building my business. since I was able to front load that and build the right teams around me, the right systems around me, fast forward to today, I kind of get to reap the benefits of that front loaded effort. So, my own personal involvement in the day to day of my business is literally leading my teams, right? Removing their roadblocks, answering questions, obviously improving on any processes. But I I'm not in the weeds in my business. And so because of that, I really only spend about 5 to 6 hours a week managing my own portfolio.
Love it. That's so good. I'm gonna take number 1, if you wanna make more money, those sweet hours in the morning are so crucial. I'm with you there. I recently got my certified financial planner designation and I studied, 5:30 to 7:30 every morning and that it was so sweet to get that done and now I can or transform that into the next really awesome thing that I want to get done and kind of aligning that time. And for some people that maybe aren't morning people like us, that could be, a different couple hours a day, but that really is all it takes of intentional work and, that sweet spot to get that going, and that you use that time to do systems work, not to answer emails, not to scroll through Facebook, not to, even create social media posts, or whatever it might have been. You created systems. That was the real work that needed to be done, so we have to remember that too. If we wanna make more money, we have to do the real work, the
Yeah.
systems type work.
Yeah. And I think secondarily, finding the right team members around me. Since I was forced, if you will, because of my circumstance, I was forced to build a business where it was very much an outsourced model for me. And so I really, really focused my time on making sure I had the right infrastructure to support my people, but then also making sure I had the right people. And, because of my great people, again, I have the flexibility, to do what I need to do, and I trust them wholeheartedly to run the day to day.
Yeah. Okay, so we got 3 things so far for making more money. Structured time in your sweet zone of time, creating systems, doing the real work of the business, and getting a team together. Now, talk to me about short-term rentals. Lots of people are talking about them right now. It's a great way to make money and to turn assets into income producing activities. What would somebody need to know? I think obviously it's become part of the short-term rental society and copy your systems and the things that you teach there so people don't have to recreate it from scratch. What are some of those things that they would find in this society to help them make more money and
Sure.
replicate what you've done?
Sure. So the short-term rental society, just to give anyone any context, is really a network of people. And again, people are such an incredible asset. Just Amanda, I know you and I have had the pleasure of, sitting on phone calls a couple of times. And it's like, I know you are wicked smart. I know that if I had a financial question, I would turn to you, right? But I think building a network, you've always heard the term your network is your net worth, right?
Yes. Mhm.
And so the short-term rental society is very much built around connecting with other people who have a similar either journey or a similar topic that they're focused on. So what we do inside the short-term rental society is we have weekly meetups. And the first Wednesday of every month is a general member meeting where we typically conduct a training, but the rest of the meetups are focused on very specific aspects of the short term rental space because there is quite a large learning curve when you're getting into this industry. So, as an example, we have the rookie meetup for anyone who's new and wanting to connect with other rookies who are feeling all the same feels they are, but then they also have an expert on that call to ask questions of. Um, we've got the things like the digital marketing meetup, the beach investors meetup, the self-managing meetup if you are managing your own property, the direct booking meetup. You know, having a system in place to accept direct bookings is something that's really important if you do wanna make more money because you end up being more profitable that way with direct bookings. But that is a feat in and of itself trying to secure those direct bookings. And so, again, the purpose of the short-term rental society is really, really to connect people with not only information, but also other people that can help them along their paths.
Yeah.
So,
Get those peers and
yeah.
shared learning so important to not only make more money, but do it smartly, quickly, and with a lot of joy in it too, like we've been talking about. A
Yeah,
lot more
and the
fun
other
when you're doing it
thing
together.
you know, absolutely. The other thing that I have found, at least in my own life, and I'm curious to hear if this is true for you, but I can learn through other people's questions. Sometimes people have questions about things that I'm like, wow, why didn't I ever think of that? And so by hearing what other people are asking, I'm already wising up, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. We say all the time, you don't know what you don't know. The best way to learn what you don't know is to hear what other people realize that they didn't know and now they want to know.
Say
Absolutely.
that 5 times fast,
I
right?
know, right? This is so good. So, one of the things I learned from you, somewhere along the way, love your email list. I read every email you send out. I think it was in one of those, is this idea that particularly women do short-term rentals really well because our, like, design sense, our, focus on hospitality, on how other people are gonna feel coming into our spaces that we create, can get add an extra level, right? I know I've stayed in those short-term rentals that I'm like, "Oh, yeah, this was totally a bachelor pad," right?
Yeah.
So, like, I can appreciate that. Is that really why you're most of the community that you have formed are women and maybe, those who want to embrace that more feminine side, even if they're men?
Yeah. You know, again, I would love to say that there was some strategic, happenstance behind the scenes, but my own female community was really born by accident again. And once it came to life, I was absolutely blown away and floored by the amazing women I was surrounding myself with. So, how that happened, just for some perspective, and for anyone that doesn't know, I have a Facebook group that's called Female Short-Term Rental Investors. But I uh my first investment properties and the largest part of my portfolio is down in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And I actually had a gentleman who was a real estate agent from Texas reach out to me, and he came to me and said, "Hey, can you help me put together some information? My clients are also buying at the beach, and they're asking me questions that I don't know how to answer. So, could you put together some just general information about what you need to know when you're buying at the beach?" And when he presented me that question, I thought, well, gosh, yeah, of course, I'm happy to help. But by this point in time, I was past the newbie stage. And so I thought, it's really difficult to remember what it was like when I didn't know anything. So I happened to pop into a Facebook group for women real estate investors. And I asked a question in that Facebook group just saying, hey, if you were buying a property at the beach for the first time, what types of things would you want to know? And the floodgates opened, right? And someone in that comment string said, "You should start a Facebook group about this." Well, knowing that it was someone from a women's Facebook group, that's how I decided to start a women's Facebook group geared towards short term rentals. Now, I will also say that I want everybody to know that I totally respect men. I do business with men. There is nothing I'm not a feminist, like, women have to rule the world. Um, but I will say there is something magical about women helping other women, and it gives me
Mhm.
goosebumps even talking about it because I also think that as women, because we have by and large I'm gonna just say, generally speaking, a heart, a very strong heart. Sometimes it's difficult for women to operate with their heads as well. And so, number 1, giving people permission to say, "You know what? You shouldn't feel sorry that, you're having to charge a guest because they ruined your furniture. You are operating a business," just supporting women when they need help or have a question, is something that's again, I can't even describe it. But I think more importantly, women excel in the short-term rental space because oftentimes we have a very nurturing, way about us, and we do nurture our guests. We have a knack and a soft place in our hearts to do so. And my goal is to help women again, not only exploit that soft place in their hearts and find joy in what they do, but they're also doing it with their heads on
Yeah.
and creating a business and a life that they love as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's kinda one way to say that is that there's masculine and there's feminine, and as women, we're asked often to embrace the masculine side, put our heads on, act with less emotionally, whatever that means. Um, but what's fun is that we can invite the men in our lives to embrace their feminine side too. And, like, I could see so many men getting so much out of what you teach because they're, asked to embrace a little bit of nurturing in how they set things up, and so it's part of why I asked that, but also how it brings out if you wanna make more money, embrace who you really are, but also don't be afraid to try out something different.
Oh,
Try out a
amen.
different way of looking at something.
Amen. And, I've always found that the biggest growth in learning that I've had is well outside my comfort zone. And so, there's nothing wrong with doing something that you feel comfortable in, but oftentimes if we want to notch up what we're making financially, we have to stretch out of what I'll say the norm to
Yeah.
be and really, really put ourselves out there in new and different ways. And that's not easy to do.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay, great segue because when I was also hearing you talk about the Facebook group and then also this getting into everything very accidentally when your son changed his plans. I was thinking so many people might think, well, I just need the accident to happen to me. And what I want to emphasize is that you were taking action. You were doing things. You were thinking strategically. You were moving forward and the doors open. And they might not have opened had you not been posting in that Facebook group or taking a second thought. Do we really want to pay rent versus buy? Uh-oh. Uh-oh, you got a sign.
I am all about signs.
Yes.
And it says, don't wait for opportunity, create it.
Amen. Love it.
And so I'm sorry, I totally interrupted you.
No, you're good. You're good.
But yeah, so again, I think that there's a way to go about life. And some people might listen to this and go, wow, she is off her rocker. But I truly believe that sometimes life throws us curveballs and candidly sucky situations, right? And it's what we do with those curveballs and situations that really, really shape our future. There was a time in my life where I knew I wanted to get out of the corporate gig. I was very stressed out at work. Um, and I knew I needed to make a change, but I had no idea how I was going to do it. I had no idea, what my future was going to be, but I was determined to find it. And so by listening to what was going on around me, I was able to lean in and be okay with the current situation and give myself permission to be strategic about what was going to potentially come out of that. So as an example, I could have cursed for a lot longer when my son decided not to move to Florida, but again, we leaned into that. and we learned from it. And I think it's so critically important that we live with an abundance mindset and not get trapped or held back by limiting beliefs or external situations. Nobody is going to live our best life for us. We have to do it, right?
Yep, yep. Because we could easily see that open door look like a brick wall if we're not having that growth mindset and
Yeah.
we have those limiting beliefs instead. Okay, I think that's a great place to wrap up here. We shared so many valuable ways to increase, make more money, and a lot of them were a lot of fun. It doesn't have to be, such a grind. And if you want more of what those are like, this is Stacey's website, stacysaintjohn.com. Really easy to remember there. Get part of the short-term rental society, reach out to her. It looks like you offer a masterclass, a discovery call, all the things, however you wanna connect with Stacey, great to do. And if you wanna talk more about just this big idea of, how to make more money, we're doing that all this month in our YouTube channel as well as, within our community, the Wealth Wisdom financial community. So please check out all those links below, hit subscribe, hit like, add a comment. If you have a question about short-term rentals or about making more money, we want to hear it and we'll create some more content for you along those lines. Thank you so much, Stacey, for joining us. Any final words or things you would want to add to what I just shared?
Gosh, I think you wrapped it up beautifully. Again, I just want to thank you for having me and thank you for all you're doing to help other people achieve their financial freedom that they're looking for.
Thank you. We'll have to have you on again to share how you're continuing to increase your income as you are well beyond the rookie stage. And how do you keep that growth mindset even when you feel tapped out? So put that down as a future conversation.
Got it.
Done. Okay, thanks everybody. We'll talk to you again soon.